Hey there, kiddos! How are you all doing today? I hope you're ready for a fun and exciting story time. Today, I've got an exciting story for you about a dog who learned a big lesson on greed. Are you ready? Let's dive in. This story is not just about a dog, but also about the importance of being content and not letting greed take over our hearts. Once upon a time, there was a clever dog who loved tasty treats. He was always on the lookout for something delicious to munch on. This dog was known for his sharp nose and quick reflexes, always managing to find the best snacks around. One sunny day, he spotted a juicy piece of meat lying around. It looked so delicious that he couldn't believe his luck. The meat was just sitting there, waiting for him to take it. He couldn't resist and snatched it up, feeling super proud of himself. He thought to himself, "This is going to be the best meal ever." With the meat firmly in his mouth, he felt like the king of the world. He dashed away from the owner of the meat, running as fast as his little legs could carry him. He didn't want anyone to take his precious find away from him. The wind rushed past him as he ran, his heart pounding with excitement. "Ha ha 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 ha! I managed to bring fresh meat for dinner," the dog chuckled, feeling victorious. He imagined the delicious feast he would have later. He couldn't wait to sink his teeth into the juicy meat. As he scampered across a bridge over a shimmering river, something caught his eye. The water below was clear and reflective, almost like a mirror. He couldn't help but glance down to see what was there. Down below, he saw another dog holding a piece of meat just like his. The reflection was so clear that it looked like a real dog. He was amazed and a bit confused. The dog's eyes widened as he thought, "Wow, there's another dog with meat!" He couldn't believe his eyes. How could there be another dog with the exact same piece of meat? If I take his meat too, I can have double the feast tonight. The thought of having twice the amount of meat made his mouth water. He was already imagining the grand feast he would have. Greedy thoughts filled his mind, and he decided to steal the meat from the dog under the bridge. He thought it would be an easy task. After all, he was a clever dog, and he had managed to get the first piece of meat without any trouble. I'll just take it so I can have my fill of meat tonight," he whispered to himself, his eyes gleaming with mischief. He was so focused on his plan that he didn't think about the consequences. All he could think about was the extra meat. The dog barked loudly and jumped, trying to scare the other dog away. He thought that if he barked loud enough, the other dog would drop the meat and run away. He was determined to get that extra piece of meat. In the chaos, his own piece of meat slipped from his jaws and tumbled into the water with a splash. He watched in horror as the meat disappeared into the river. His heart sank as he realized what had happened. Gasping, he looked down and realized something shocking. The other dog was gone, and so was his meat. He couldn't believe his eyes. The other dog wasn't real at all. It was just his own reflection in the river. He felt a wave of realization wash over him. It was just his own reflection in the river. Oh no! He had been tricked by his own greed. He felt a deep sense of regret. "I was so careless," he cried, tears welling up in his eyes. He couldn't believe he had lost everything because of his greed. He felt a deep sense of loss. Why was I so greedy that I lost the meat I had? He questioned himself, feeling a heavy weight on his heart. He realized that his greed had cost him dearly. The poor dog sat by the river, reflecting on his mistake. He thought about how he had let his greed take over. He knew he had to learn from this experience. He had let his greed get the better of him and lost everything in the process. He realized that being greedy had only brought him misery. He vowed to never let greed control him again. And so, kiddos, the dog learned a valuable lesson that day. He learned that greed can lead to great loss. It's important to be content with what we have. Greed can make us lose what we already have. It's always better to appreciate what we have and not be greedy. The dog learned this the hard way, but we can learn from his mistake. It's always better to be happy with what we've got. When we appreciate what we have, we find true happiness. Sharing and being kind to others brings joy to everyone. Remember, sharing and kindness always win the day. When we share and are kind, we make the world a better place. Just like the dog learned, we should always choose kindness over greed. Thanks for listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable. Stories like these teach us important lessons. Don't forget to subscribe for more fun tales and adventures. We have many more stories to share with you. Each story has a lesson that can help us in our lives. See you next time. Take care and remember to always be kind and share with others. Goodbye.